Hi, today we're going to be decorating the Cookies for Santa cookie kit, and within your box you're going to find 6 cookies. You have 2 Santa cookies, 2 milk jugs, and 2 of these little sugar cookies that we're going to turn into chocolate chip cookies. And then you'll also find 3 of your icing colors. I know this is a little bit pink right now, but as it dries it will get redder. And then you've got a couple of these little black pearls that we'll be using for Santa's eyes. And then you also have this little container of mini chocolate chips that we're going to be putting on the chocolate chip cookie. So let's start by outlining the milk jug. And again, when you're cutting the bags, you'll want to start by like cutting a really small hole, because obviously it's easy to cut a larger hole. I'm gonna go ahead and cut a larger hole on this bag. It's a little thinner than I'd like. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start by outlining the whole cookie. Just get as close to the edge as you're really comfortable with. And you'll just want to let the icing kind of fall gently onto the cookie. Pull up and away from the cookie as you're icing. And then we've got a good line there. And then we're also going to work on icing Santa's beard. Again, we're just starting with outlining. This is so that we can go back and add our icing on inside of the outline that we just created. But icing the outline first is helpful so that hopefully your icing won't run off of your cookie. It can still happen, but it's less likely if you outline first. Okay, so we're gonna go back and we're gonna flood this cookie. Start by outlining or adding icing to the outer edges. And then you have included toothpicks in your kit. You can find them with all of your instructions. And once we're done adding the majority of the icing here, we can go back with that toothpick tool and use it to kind of fill in the gaps and push the icing all the way to the edges that we've outlined. I like to use circular motions to do so, as it is pretty gentle and helps to reach those edges. All right, got our milk jug flooded. Now we're gonna go back and flood Santa's beard. And again, we're using that tool, the little toothpick, to move the icing towards the edges of the cookie. If you notice that your icing is looking a little bit uneven, even after you've gone through with your toothpick, you can just pick up the cookie and gently tap it on the table. You'll sometimes notice air bubbles come to the top, but you can just kind of smooth those out with your little tool. All right, next we're going to do the outlining and the flooding of our cookie. You can just go back, you can grab your little chocolate chips, place as many as you'd like on your cookie. And we're gonna grab our red and we're gonna go ahead and outline Santa's hat. Try and make a little bit of a curved line as you go around the bottom edge of his hat. And then again, we're just gonna go ahead and flood that area with icing. And then we're gonna grab our tan icing. We're gonna come back and we're gonna fill in Santa's little face. Just be really careful not to hit your other icing that you just put down a couple of moments ago. Go ahead and give it a few taps. And while we're here and the icing is still wet, we're going to go ahead and add our 2 little beads for his eyes. Just do it really gently so that you don't touch your icing. Then we're gonna go back to this milk cookie and we're gonna add a few more little details. If you're up for a challenge and want to try writing letters on the cookie, what I would suggest is trying, so what we're going to do here is we're going to write milk going this way of the cookie, but I would just suggest if this is your first time writing with icing, try it on your parchment paper that you have or on the table or plate or something, but give it a go before you try it on your cookie. And just be slow. And if you want to add a few more little details to the cap, that's what we'll do next. It's just going to be a couple of lines. And then we're just going to add more little lines right here and at the top, just to make it look like it has a little bit of a dimension. All right, so that's our little design for the milk jug. And then going back to Santa, ideally you would wait a little while at least before you attempt to go ahead and give him his extra details, because basically if you try and pipe on the icing right now while it's still really wet, it's really difficult because the icing will kind of dissolve into that layer that hasn't set up. So maybe just wait about like 30 minutes or so before you try and finish up the cookie. So if you're working on the other cookies, I would just suggest wait on finishing up your Santa. I'll be back in about 30 minutes to finish the Santa. All right, it's been a few minutes and the icing has started to crust over. So we can go ahead and add some of our finishing touches on our Santa. So we're going to start by adding a little rim to his hat. I'd recommend kind of going a little like up and down motion so it kind of looks like it's a puffy hat. It may kind of disappear depending on how far you put the ridges apart. Oh well. And then we're gonna add the little puff ball on his hat. So for that, just a nice circle. And then we're gonna go back in and give him a little bit of a beard, or a mustache rather. And for that, we're just gonna make two kind of teardrop-esque shapes. And then just fill those in with icing like we did before. Then you'll want to grab your little tan color, go back and just give him a little nose. And Santa's done.